Hello everyone and welcome to Blood and Ink, and this is our first official book club episode. Alright, so if you recall from the first couple of episodes I've done, actually until episode 4 I did not do a book club, and I said I was going to start making book clubs its own separate episodes. So that's what I'm doing here, just because I didn't want the episodes to get too long or anything like that. But the book that I am reading is The Stand by Stephen King. I believe when I left off, we were somewhere in the 30% range of the book as far as the reading. I am now at the 50% range of the book, and so I decided to go ahead and get together another book club episode. If you have not kept up with the book club, I am going to kind of recap that before diving into what's happening now, or you can go ahead and listen to the ends of those episodes 1, 2, and 3. They all have a little bit about the book. I do think going forward that I'm going to try to do the book club every 10% of the book, so that way, it's not too much coming at you all at once. Now, 10% doesn't sound like a lot, but with this book, it definitely is. So I feel like giving you 25% is a bit much, but it's all just a learning curve for me, and I'm just figuring it out as I go. So yeah, The Stand by Stephen King. I'm currently at 50% of the book. So let's just jump right into it with a little recap and where we left off. So, Captain Trips is a deadly virus that was created by the US government and accidentally released, killing off most of the population, leaving a few alone and trying to regroup with other people, trying to find authority, and just generally trying to survive. We meet a multitude of immune characters immune to the disease, but our mains include Stu Redman, who is a countryman who was taken into a federal health facility and held captive until his escape after the downfall of humanity. We meet Franny and Harold. Franny is a young, pregnant, but not showing woman, and Harold is a 17-year-old boy. They're both from the same town, and they go looking together for an authoritative figure of society and believe that they will find that at the federal health facility that Harold had heard of. While en route to that facility, they come across Stu Redman and they decide to join up with him. Stu tells them the sad truth about the facility, and Harold has the hots for Franny. I guess there's no other way to say. He has the hots for Franny, and he is extremely jealous of Stu, who also has the hots for Franny, even though there is a huge age gap between Franny and Stu, according to the book. Moving on, we have Nick Andros. He is a deaf mute who has been through hell and back during this end-of-the-world ordeal, even getting one of his eyes gouged out and blinded by this sick, insane asshole. Well, Nick Andros heads west and comes across another character, Tom Cullen, who is a mentally handicapped individual with a heart of gold. Nick takes Tom under his wing, and they decide to move west together. We also have Larry Underwood. He is an up-and-coming musician at the time of society's downfall. Larry goes to New York to visit with his mother, but after humanity collapses, Larry leaves New York to head towards a beach town with a woman named Rita, who ends up killing herself, leaving Larry alone to continue on by himself. Larry is kind of a selfish prick from what we had read before, but not necessarily a bad person. So let's get to the bad characters. We've got Lloyd Henreid. He is a small-time criminal and murderer who was starving to death in prison after everybody died, and he was released by a dark entity with the requirement of Lloyd's devotion. Then we have Trash Can Man. He is a mentally unstable pyromaniac that is now torching towns as he wanders aimlessly. We also have two other characters that are big deals, but they're really the embodiment of good and the embodiment of evil. And all the characters that I described already are having dreams or nightmares about either one of these characters. Well, the good character is Mother Abigail. She is an elderly black woman, and like I said, she's just kind of the embodiment of all good. And then on the opposite end of that spectrum, we have Randall Flagg, who is just the embodiment of all evil. The good characters are all kind of starting to move west towards Nebraska to meet with Mother Abigail. Again, like I said, they're having these dreams about her. Some are moving that way now, some will be moving that way shortly. While the bad characters are all making their way to meet with Flagg. So, that leaves us with now. That's kind of, like I said, very fast recap of what happened so far in the book that I've already discussed in other episodes of the podcast. Like I said, if you listen to the end of episode 1, 2, and 3, you will get the kind of more full version of that. But now is now. So we start with Larry Underwood. Larry has been going a bit crazy ever since Rita has died. His nightmares of Randall Flagg are so aggressive also that he's unable to sleep, and he just doesn't want to sleep, like he's afraid of sleeping. While walking one day, he gets extremely overheated and rests in the shade, where he does end up falling asleep. And we see a young boy who we find out his name is Joe. He slithers out of the bushes with a knife, meaning to end Larry's life, but is told not to by a middle-aged, motherly woman named Nadine. Joe and Nadine follow Larry at a distance for days, and Larry kind of guesses that he's being followed, but either he's just too tired or too sick to care, but yeah, he just doesn't care. There is an explanation here provided by Stephen King about some character changes that Larry's had, because like I said before, Larry was kind of an asshole. He used people, he was just a giant dick. But the explanation provided by King is that Larry has come out on the other side, that's in quotes. While Larry makes it to the beach where, out of nowhere, Joe charges out of the bushes attempting to kill Larry. Joe is easily subdued as he is just a little boy, and Nadine begs for Larry not to kill Joe, which he doesn't, and which I don't think Larry was going to do anyway. Larry was not, the nicest character before, but he definitely wasn't like a child killer. And like I said, Joe is just a young child. We find out that Joe does not speak. He only grunts and is kind of similar to like a wild animal. Nadine was a school teacher in her town, and she found Joe alone and dying of an infection, not the virus. She treated him and took care of him, and now Joe only listens to her, and they have this child-mother type of relationship. Well, Nadine asks to join Larry because she wants the security of traveling with a man. After some back and forth discussion about leaving Joe and taking just Nadine, Larry decides that he will accept both of them, and he understands now that after making it to the beach, and making it to the beach alone, he's looking for more than just a place. He feels like now that he's there, he's understanding that he was also looking for people along the way. Well, Larry ends up connecting with Joe over playing guitar, and they actually become close. He realizes at this point they have all been dreaming about Mother Abigail and Randall Flagg, and they decide to, together, head towards Mother Abigail. At one point, we see Larry wants more than just a friendship with Nadine, and he does make some advances and says that in his dreams, he sees them as a family, but Nadine declines his advances. Over time, on this traveling trip, Joe does start speaking little by little in what's very obviously stunted speech, and the group comes across a new character named Lucy Swan who joins their team. That's kind of where we leave Larry off, and we do see a very different, I guess, a character arc for Larry. Larry was an asshole, like I said, who only kept people around that he could gain things from, and with Nadine and Joe, he can't gain anything from them. If anything, it's actually going to make his time harder. Instead, Nadine is actually the one gaining protection. So for Larry, this is a really big character change that we are seeing. And here is a part that I do not like. I hate that Stephen King, and he does this multiple times in this book, and I'll bring it up here in a little bit with some of our other characters, but Stephen King made women out to be so feeble and needy of a man in this story. Like, the women believe they need a man to be okay, and Nadine feels that way, which is ridiculous. And I find it especially ridiculous because what they are all moving towards, this image of good, this embodiment of good that they're moving towards, Mother Abigail, she is a woman. So I'm kind of like, how are you going to make all the women that are going to this other woman be this weak character? I really don't like it. And then Nadine seems like a very strong woman on her own. She kept herself and this wild child alive and safe, and they were able to stalk Larry and not get caught for days. I mean, I would say that's pretty damn good. But I digress, and we'll move forward, and we'll get into that a little bit more with another character that Stephen King does the same thing with, just even worse. But we move forward and we meet Mother Abigail. She is a 108-year-old woman living on her family's corn farm, and she dreams that some of her company should be arriving soon. So she gets to work preparing meals for them. She is, working the farm. She goes and grabs some chickens and plucks them, and it takes her a long time to do all this. Like I said, she's 108 years old, so she's not moving very fast. Well, nighttime comes and she ends up walking back to her house where she is attacked by weasels, but using her faith in God, she finds protection through that, and God kind of sends the weasels away. But after that interaction, Mother Abigail feels that Randall Flagg, the Dark Man, knows where she is. All of the things that she did that day were very taxing on her, so she does fall asleep, and the next day we see a truck pulling up to her house, and it's Nick Andros and Tom Cullen and a whole group of people they picked up along the way, all of which had been dreaming of Mother Abigail. So the group eats, they talk and rest, and the next day they leave for Colorado all together, as Colorado is where Mother Abigail feels the Lord is telling her to go. Now, note with Mother Abigail, she has a really weird relationship with God, and I wonder if this is going to be brought up a little bit more. But she is not just like happy with whatever's happening. She's super upset and frustrated that at her age she's having to do all of this because she's tired, she's old, and most of all, she's extremely scared. She is kind of mad at God for putting her through this, but at the same time has accepted that it is what it is his will, and she still has just 100% faith in him. So I thought that was really humanizing in a way. Like, yeah, she is this embodiment of good, but look, she still has feelings, and not all her feelings are good, I guess. But we move on. Next, we move to Stu, Franny, and Harold, who are joined by Bateman. If you don't remember, I talked about Bateman, I believe it was in episode 2, but Bateman was this eccentric artist that took Stu in for the night, and whom I did not trust at first, but he ended up being a good guy. Not only is Bateman part of the group now, but we also have a woman named Perion and a man named Mark, who are a couple. This group all decides to start taking medication to sleep without nightmares, except for Franny, because she is worried about what the meds would do to the baby. Now, Franny still has not disclosed to anyone that she is pregnant, and her pregnancy is starting to show a little more, so she knows she will eventually and soon have to kind of tell everybody. But this is where I want to talk about Franny's decline as a character and how Stephen King, maybe she's going to make a comeback, I don't know, but right now he is ruining Franny's character for me. So, Franny started off as this strong female character who stood up to her boyfriend, breaking things off with him even when he was trying to refuse and force her to stay. She stood up to her hateful and emotionally abusive mother by telling her about the pregnancy and refusing to get an abortion or get married, which, back then, some families thought specific ways about pregnancy. But yeah, she stood up to her. She was an all-around strong character, prepared to do what she felt was best for herself and her situation. And now, after meeting Stu Redman, King destroyed her character, and he turns her into this sniveling little girl who's extremely emotional, which, okay, maybe we can say are the hormones, but we'll see. And as a character, she just does not stop talking about how much she wants Stu, and how she wants Stu to be her man, and she's worried about hurting Harold's feelings. And she says she wants Stu because he is a strong man that can protect her. We're seeing he's doing this to multiple women in the book, and I don't understand why. And maybe I just haven't read something as old as this of Stephen King's, or maybe he's trying to go in a specific direction or had different ideas back then when he was writing, but it's not my favorite. King also includes diary entries from Franny, which I thought was going to be a really cool concept, but they're just, all her diary entries are worries regarding her emotions for Stu. Not only that, but they're full of misspellings, and even the way she writes just makes her sound like she's dumb. I mean, mind you, before all this, Franny was a college university student, so I don't know why, or maybe the book is so long that he just forgot that that's how he wrote her in the beginning. I don't know, but this seems like a huge and crazy change for her. But let me give you some quotes to kind of hear what I'm talking about, and these are quotes from Franny, or not, if not from her, about her in the book. So, quote, "But lying here in the night, she knew that she needed a man," end quote. Okay, come on. Another quote, "Women were at the mercy of their bodies. They were smaller. They tended to be weaker. A man couldn't get with child, but a woman could. Every 4-year-old knows it. And a pregnant woman is a vulnerable human being," end quote. I mean, yes, pregnant women are vulnerable in a way, absolutely, but he is just really driving this home that women cannot live in this world without a man. Here's another one. "Oh dear, I'm falling in love with him. I think I've got the world's most crushable crush." Who the fuck says that? The world's most crushable crush? And this is a woman who survived the end of the world, basically, who buried her own father in the backyard all by herself while pregnant, who stood up to her mom and had to deal with the emotional damage of her mom dying just after standing up to her. I mean, I don't know. She's not 16. I think she's like 24, 25 years old, which, yes, at 25, sure, maybe you have crushes and this and that, but she just wasn't presented as this character in the beginning. Franny does have an interesting thought, though, on why everyone is having the dreams of Randall Flagg and Mother Abigail, and she says she believes that all the people that are left have some sort of psychic ability that is ingrained in a part of them they have rarely used, and over time of not using it has atrophied. So, could that be why they are all immune to the virus? Does it have something to do with psychic abilities? Are we going to go in that direction? I don't really know. Continuing on, though, with Stu, Franny, and Harold's group, Mark, he's that new member of the group, he gets sick, and we learn his appendix is bursting and he needs surgery. Mark is a pretty important member of the group, although new, because he is an engineer. Perion explains that Mark knows how to take things apart and put them back together, and it's really one of the only useful skills that the group has right now. So because of this, Perion kind of describes here how all of their life choices meant nothing and they're good for nothing, and it was just everything they did was a waste, which I thought was really heavy and definitely sad. But Stu attempts surgery on Mark, Sadly, it does not work, and Mark dies. Perion is grateful that Stu at least tried something, and then that night, Perion commits suicide, and the group is back down to 4 people, which is Stu, Franny, Harold, and Bateman. They continue to move towards Mother Abigail and come across approximately 12 people at a road impasse. There's just a couple of men there and mostly women, and we put 2 and 2 together that these men have been collecting women and using them for their own wants. These men are also the first aggressive people that we come across in the story, and a shootout ensues between the 2 groups, killing none from our group, but all of the men in the other group and a couple of the women. The women explain that they were captured and drugged and then, yes, used by these men. Like I said, this is the first time anybody in our group, or in the book really, has come across hostile people. And this is the first time they had to kill for their own survival. So it's sitting really heavy on the group, and I wonder if this is going to change them as people, if it's going to change them as a group, but we don't really know yet. The new women join the group, and here we go again. Franny is jealous at how one of them looks at Stu, which is fucking stupid. Stu and Franny meet up one night in the middle of the night while everyone is sleeping, and they make love. Franny tells Stu she's pregnant, and they both say I love you, and they make love again. This is the love story nobody needed, but it leads us into what might be Harold's bad guy origin story. Not really sure, but we do see that Harold is watching from the trees, and he sees the whole thing. He sees him get down and dirty. So later that night, when Franny is sleeping, he steals her journal and reads through it as well, which, like I said, is filled with nothing but love ideas about Stu, and now Harold is secretly raging. So I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to kill Franny? Is he going to kill Stu? It seems like he might be starting to kind of join the dark side. I feel like he might end up grouping with Randall Flagg. I don't know, but I think some sort of battle between Stu and Harold is definitely going to take place. And that's where we leave that group, and we move over to the Trash Can Man. The Trash Can Man is making his way towards the beckoning of the Dark Man as well. After an accident where he lit himself on fire, basically, and heavily burned a large portion of his body, leaving one arm totally burnt and disabled, he is told by Randall Flagg to find him. He starts making his way and hitches a ride with this crazy alcoholic guy named The Kid, who's headed in the same direction for the same reason. But we quickly learn the Kid is batshit crazy and is always on the verge of killing Trash Man. He even goes as far to sodomize Trash Can and use him for his own pleasure, which was a weird scene to read while at work. When riding through Nebraska, again, like I said, to get to the Dark Man, it's funny here, Trash Can no longer has dreams about Randall Flagg, but instead has dreams about Mother Abigail. Now, remember, Mother Abigail is in Nebraska. Well, these dreams scare Trash Can, which is ironic because the Dark Man should be his nightmares, but instead, it is goodness that scares evil. And it's funny, in the dream, when Mother Abigail sees Trash Can, she screams out, "Weasel's in the corn!" And Trash Can starts turning into a weasel before waking up and realizing, oh, I am not a weasel, I am just me. The Kid tells Trash Can he's going to overthrow the Dark Man as he wants to be the head honcho in charge. So, in his dreams, Trash Can tells Randall Flagg about this and kind of begs for himself to be saved from the Kid because he's tried to get away from the Kid a couple of times and it really hasn't gone well for him. So Flagg provides, and he sends wolves to kill the Kid, which is actually a cool little part of the book because the wolves don't actually get the Kid. The Kid is able to hop into a car and close the door real quick, but they are walking through the desert, and so, it's going to be 150 degrees in that car during the day. He does not have a way to turn on the car. There's no keys or anything. And the wolves are just standing outside of the car waiting to get him. So he either stays inside and burns to death, starves to death, whatever that may be, or he takes his chances and jumps out of the car and the wolves get him. But either way, Trash Can is able to leave and he continues onwards through the desert. He almost dies from heat exhaustion and dehydration, but finally reaches Las Vegas, where he is invited into the headquarters of this dark group, which is at the MGM Grand Hotel. Randall Flagg is not currently there, but Lloyd Henreid is there. And remember, that's our small-time crook and the first person that joined Randall Flagg. Well, Lloyd invites Trash Can Man in, saying Flagg has something special for Trash Can, and basically telling him how important he is to their operation. And that is where we leave off on our first official book club episode. That covers about another 20% from where we left off, which for a book this size is way too much, where I kind of really had to consolidate to not make this too long of an episode. So what I'm going to do moving forward is that I'm going to read 10% and then put that out as an episode, so that way we can get into a little bit more of what is happening along everybody's routes. But yeah, let me know what you think about Stephen King's writing in this book. It's a little shocking. It's definitely outdated. There's definitely things that I could not imagine him writing in this day and age, in this year of 2025. And the stuff that I just haven't seen him write anytime recently, and I think I must have just forgotten what it used to be like. And yeah, how do you feel about this change in characters of, women are incapable in this new world? I really don't understand where that's coming from or why that's being pushed so hard. So it's kind of frustrating, but we're only halfway through this book. So hopefully we get we get some redemption for these female characters, because I think they're kicking ass, man. I think they're doing awesome. So I don't know why he's disrespecting them like that. Get it together, King. Well, I guess he has. He does have a lot of new novels with very strong female lead characters, so he has gotten it together. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of the change in Franny's character. Let me know what you think about the change in Larry's character. He went from being this completely self-absorbed asshole to now caring about a whole another group of people and wanting to be a family with them. So that's also a big character change for the positive. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will try to read another 10% and get these episodes happening once a week. I'm thinking they're going to come out on Wednesdays or Thursdays. Otherwise, make sure to follow Blood and Ink on Instagram at Blood Ink Podcast. Also, make sure to send your short stories, your movie recommendations, and your book recommendations for the next book club to bloodinkpodcast@gmail.com. And then just, hit a follow. Throw a like in there. Send us a message. Let us know how we're doing. But alright, guys, that is the last drop of Blood and Ink.